Hello and welcome to my Wednesday forecast. So let's get started with looking at the euro and US dollar. Currently what I'm seeing is that we are in this ascending structure. So we broke the high retraced, broke the low retraced, broke the high retraced. Then we got an ascending right here, broke the high retraced, broke the high retraced. And then we got some momentum to the downside. So let me take this back from this candle. What I was seeing right here was that we were ascending and that we were in this, actually I would classify this as a larger ascending structure. So to me this is a smaller ascending in a bigger ascending, and I know when I see that sort of a pattern that it is high probability to move to the downside. So at this point I'm looking for an impulse to the downside. So I'm seeing a really nice impulse and I'm seeing a continuation of this impulse. So at this point I want to see what happens next. My entry point would be at this inside bar, so right here. And what I don't want to see a V reversal. So let me just grab the drawing tool. So I don't want to see a V reversal because I'm seeing a wick here and this is a lot of area to retrace completely. So what I would like to see is a nice combo to the entry point. Or maybe I would like to see a pullback, then a small range, then we get a bomb opportunity. But actually what we got, so we got an immediate retrace to the upside. We actually got a V reversal. So to me this doesn't fit my plan, especially when I saw these double wicks. So currently then we broke the low again and retraced. So currently we are in a ranging price action. We are in an ascending into a descending structure. And what I can forecast is that we will continue with this sort of price action. So get another ascending into a descending and just continue ranging. We can also stay ranging between the low and the high right here, something like this. But yeah, the opportunity is currently gone for me. And what I want to see is, I want to see a big impulse to the upside, look for a trade, or a big impulse, pull back another impulse, look for a long trade. I would also like to see a nice large ascending structure, push to the downside, look for a short trade. Or I would like to see a nice big push to the downside, look for a bomb trade. So we are in this ascending structure, so that would be high probability. Or I would like to see a push, pull back another push, look for a bullet short trade. Or maybe we get a nice big descending structure, push to the upside, look for a long trade. So yeah, those are some of the possibilities that I can forecast. And currently I'm waiting for a nice large impulse. So let's move on to the euro and the Japanese yen. So right here, we haven't still broken the high or the low. We're still stuck in this range. So what I can actually forecast for this pair is that we will just continue ranging between the high and the low, something like this. And what I'm waiting for is I'm waiting for a nice big impulse to the upside, look for a trade. Or a nice big impulse, pull back another impulse, look for a long trade. I would also like to see a nice ascending, push to the downside, look for a short trade. If we get this sort of a large impulse that breaks the low, I would look for a bomb trade. Or maybe we get push, pull back another push, look for a bullet short trade. What can also happen, we can just get a descending structure that breaks the low. And if it's a clean descending structure, I will definitely consider looking at a long trade, so something like this. But I know that we can just get a descending and then get ascending, get an ascending and continue with the ranging price action. So definitely something to keep in mind. So yeah, that's it for the euro pairs. Now for the Aussie. So for the Aussie pairs, currently I classify these as a reversal to the downside. Let me just write that down. So what I was seeing, let me take it back from this point. At this point I was seeing this smaller ascending structure in a larger ascending structure. So I know that when I see a smaller ascending and a larger ascending, it is a high probability, so there is a high probability we will move to a downside and get an opportunity to enter on a short trade. So what I was waiting for is I was waiting for a nice impulse. So this to me showed a nice impulse, but then what happened after this candle is actually we got double wicks. And after I saw these double wicks, what I want to then see is a nice range and then pull back to the entry point. So the entry point would be right here at this candle. But what we actually got is we got this. We saw no range and it reached the entry point. So to me, we got a V reversal. And what I can expect for the price to do is to continue ranging between the low and the high. Because I know when we see a push to downside, double wicks and a quick pullback, it can often signal a range. Then what I would like to see is I would like to see a nice ascending structure, nice push to a downside, look for a short trade, or maybe we would get a descending structure, push to the upside, look for a long trade. I would also like to see a nice big impulse, look for a long trade, a nice big impulse, pull back, another impulse, look for a long trade. Same thing to a downside, nice big impulse, look for a short trade, or a nice big impulse, pull back, another impulse, look for a short trade. But also what I would like to see, because I'm seeing an ascending and I'm seeing a move to a downside, I would like to see a nice impulse, and then I would look for a bullet opportunity. So if we get a nice impulse to a downside from this point, I know that we are then continuing with this momentum and that we are trending to the downside from an ascending structure, and that is high probability to look for shorts. So yeah, if that happens, I'll definitely be looking for a short trade. And yeah, that is it for the Aussie and the US dollar. I didn't like this pullback, so that's why I didn't go short at this point. But yeah, looking for the price to go to a downside, and then I will be looking for entries. Now for the final pair, so for the Aussie and the Japanese yen, let me take this one back also. So at this point in time, what I was seeing a large impulse, and I was seeing an ascending structure that then broke the high, retraced, and I know that to me this is a high probability setup when we get a large impulse and then an ascending that just breaks the high and retraces. So if I now see momentum to a downside, I would definitely be looking for a short trade. And what we actually got, so at this point I was seeing that momentum, but I was not yet ready to place a pending order because of this wick. I wanted to see some more. So this candle to me was enough to then place a pending short order at the bullet level. And so currently I am tagged into this trade, but I don't want to place a risk to reward tool because it still hasn't broken the low or the high. So it's a live trade, and I don't want it to be taken as a signal. But yeah, to me this looked very good. It was a high probability setup. We got a large impulse, an ascending structure that just broke the high, retraced, and then we got some momentum to a downside. So I was very willing to place that 1% risk to enter on a short trade. So currently I'm waiting to either get stopped out or reduce my risk. What I would like to see is a nice impulse to the downside, then I would look for a continuation, so a scale in. Maybe we get a push, and then I would look for a bullet short trade. Also, what can happen, we can get a descending from here. If it's a nice descending, I would look for an impulse to the upside, look for a long trade. Or also what can happen, we can get a descending into an ascending structure because we are range bound. So what I'm seeing this ascending into a descending, signaling to me further ranging price action. Also what can happen, we can get an impulse to the upside. I would then look for a long trade. If it's a large impulse, we can get an impulse, pull back another impulse, signaling a trend. Then I would look for a long trade also. Or we can get more of an ascending structure, and I know that then this is a smaller ascending and a larger ascending, and if we get a nice push to the downside, I would look for a trade. So then I'm seeing this smaller ascending in this larger ascending, and to me that's high probability that we will move to a downside. But yeah, we need to see what happens. So currently I have 1% risk on a short trade, but yeah, maybe I get to reduce my risk, or if I get stopped out, I'll look for other opportunities. So yeah, that's it for the Aussie pairs, and that's it for the whole forecast. The market is still really range bound. I'm not seeing any clear moves, but I am seeing some ascending structures, so I'm waiting to see how they play out.